Sacred Harmony, where we explore the deeper rhythms that guide us towards a life of meaning, alignment, and truth. Today's guest is none other than Marcy Axelrod, best-selling author, award winner, TEDx speaker, and globally respected management consultant. Her groundbreaking book, How We Choose to Show Up, has already transformed thousands of lives, offering a roadmap for living with purpose, authenticity, and alignment. With insights spanning neuroscience, psychology, behavioral economics, and evolutionary biology, Marcy helps individuals and organizations thrive by reconnecting to how we naturally designed to show up. If you have ever felt disconnected, stretched thin, or uncertain of your true path, this conversation will ignite a powerful shift. Welcome to the show, Marcy. It's a pleasure to have you.
Anya, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Mhm. So, your research spans over 20 years. What inspired you to explore what it really means to show up in life?
Oh, wow. So when I was 6, I lost the ability to speak and I couldn't show up as I chose. So that's what did it. And the path, so I started to observe others. I mean, when I raised my hand in first grade, the teacher would shudder. Everyone in class would think, oh no, she's eventually going to have to call on Marcy. I mean, it was just awful and it was too painful, right? When things are too painful inside, you put up a wall, you kind of break off, you literally fracture inside and sever yourself. So my mirror of myself turned outward and I started to absorb and observe how are others choosing to show up. And when you're kids, some kids are bullies and some kids are scaredy cats and some kids don't know what to do. And then there's the educators and people around them who maybe intervene and are helpful and maybe not. And I couldn't stand how others were showing up. And from my perspective, they were throwing their show up choices away. And this was deeply disturbing to me. And then when I was 12, I was sent to a rehabilitation hospital to learn to speak. And that was incredibly traumatizing and I was supposed to speak into a little machine in a certain way until the red light went on. And I knew it was doing no good, but I just always did what I was told. So I did it. But really at the hospital, what I noticed is that these people, 60s, 70s, and 80s who had had strokes were working hard to show up as they chose. They knew how they wanted to show up. They had years of wisdom. They had experts by their side. They had these plans, these expert plans. And yet, despite all that, they were struggling to show up as they chose. So the message that my 12-year-old mind at that time got was, gee, if it's so hard, where's the roadmap? Where's the blueprint? And I started to devour psychology and neuroscience and evolutionary biology and everything I could get my hands on. And I started to really do a more scientific observation of how people show up. And the first global study with over 100,000 participants was in 1999. And ever since then, I've been doing research on this. So that is why I wrote the book, How We Choose to Show Up. And, for everyone listening, your childhood struggles create your current life as well. It's not just me. This is just my example, but we are all defined by and designed by the challenges of our childhood, because that's what wired our bodies, our brains, everything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, was there a personal moment when you realized you weren't showing up and knew something had to be changed?
Oh, well, I'm human just like everybody else. So society teaches us to do what I call just show up. So there are 3 levels of showing, like everyone knows there are levels of showing up. I put a framework on it that lets us to live it better and investigate it. And it's really helpful. So I'm just going to tell you what the framework is. And it's not just how humans show up, it's how everything shows up. Social justice, your job, your your daughter, your, exercise routine. It's how everything shows up. So on the levels, I put level 1, 2, 3. 1 is barely there. 2 is just showing up. And 3 is truly showing up. So and I talk about what hemisphere of the brain we use in each level, what behaviors we're likely to just naturally do at each level, how deeply we presence at each level, what we're naturally attending to at each level, what we're thinking and feeling at each level. So there's a lot here. But just to answer your question, just like everybody, I can default to level 2, just showing up. And it happens when we're rushed, when we're tired, when we're stressed, when we're hungry, when we just need a break. We're going to just show up. And what that means is we're in this get it done mode, right? You take the plate out of the dishwasher and you put it in the cabinet, and you're a human doing, you're a robot. You're not having creative thoughts. You're not feeling a love of life. You're not being focused on how can I be helpful to these people around me or to the broader society. You're not feeling interconnected with yourself or anything beyond you. You're not feeling a sense of significance or a sense of joy or deep presencing. So that's level 2. And I think that answers your question of was there ever a time? So, most of us can only aspire to truly show up at level 3, maybe 20 to 30% of the time. So the other 70%, you and I and everybody are just showing up. And when we're really burned out or ill or grieving, we're barely there. That's level 1. Think I answered your question? I hope so.
Absolutely. And it's so refreshing to hear that showing up isn't just about doing more, but about being more aligned.
Yes, and we should talk about how you're defining a line. It's definitely not about being more. So society lies to us, right? Society tells us that here's what success is. And that's not what success is. It's not how you look or the size of your, car, house, your wardrobe, your beauty, your bank account. Success is feeling that you're living an authentic, well-lived life. And instead of reaching to have a need met by having something or doing something, what showing up is about is about being that someone or something. And I have in front of me, for example, a summary, like what are we attending to when we're truly showing up? It's the nuances around us. As we move up the continuum, one of the first thing that starts to happen, and I'm talking about the show up continuum here, from 1 into 2 into 3, and as we start to move up, we start to notice and tune in. And then once we're tuned in, we're much more deeply present. And this is when we start to feel with someone. We move from our cognitive system into our heart, into our emotions. The chemistry of our body shifts. Oxytocin goes up, dopamine goes up, serotonin goes up, norepinephrine goes down, cortisol goes down, the stress hormones go down. We settle. And then we feel deeply with, and then we enact care. So there's a lot going on chemically and psychologically and in an embodied way as we are moving from just showing up into truly showing up. So if I could ask you, Anya, you said that it's not about doing more, right? Explain to me what is behind that for you.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
So are you finding that society pushes you to do more and that's truly showing up in some colloquial way?
I don't think it's truly showing up, but society does push you to do more.
The thing is the more happens, when we slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're just doing, you're being a human doing. You're not even a human being. Like we aren't designed to do what we're doing today, to be on the go all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah, I said that.
then our friends don't feel our presence, our family, our kids. Our kids would grow up with this need to be seen, to be felt, to be soothed, to be secure. And then they're jumpy. And then nothing feels sufficient. So they'll go from one job to the next, one partner to the next, to the next, to the next, because they're not able to actually receive and feel felt. It feels like too much, which is why more and more young people today find it uncomfortable just to look into someone's eyes for more than a partial second. Anyway, so we're raising our kids and priming for everyone around us to not be deeply present or to truly show up when we are moving so quickly, just showing up. You walk in, you're doing this, you're focused on this, you notice this, your mind is telling you all sorts of who knows what, right? That is level 2, just showing up, and it's what we need to do less of.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you have said nature has a design for how we are meant to show up.
Yes, yes, it does. So we are nature. This is one of the things that society really lies to us about. It's not that like the environment and nature is out there and we're here and we're separate. That's wrong. We are nature. We are nature. And whether your belief system is that God brought us here or that we evolved from the earth, just like the trees outside and the water vapor, we are nature. Now we have a semi-permeable membrane around us. It's called our skin. But you can just look me in the eyes right now and you know what I'm feeling, right? A 1 second touch to a stranger's forearm without even seeing them, and you know what they feel, right? A glance at a photo of a stranger on the cover of the newspaper, and you know what they feel. So we are deeply interconnected with each other and with nature. Why else would literally listening to nature, and I think I have this in chapter 11 of my book. I've got this whole description of bullet points. Literally listening to nature sounds for something like 10 seconds resets our body, resets our heart rate, resets the hormones and the neurotransmitters in our brain. We have more creative thoughts. We are more compassionate. We switch from our sympathetic into our parasympathetic nervous system. So we are nature. And the model of how humans show up is the same way that nature shows up. So, for example, there's a tree out there. I'm looking at it. It's an individualized tree. So it's a self, but it's also part of a situation. It's in a second role too. So right now it's receiving a lot of sunlight. It's making a little bit of stress wood because the wind is blowing strongly right now. It is probably drinking from water. It is part of what's going on right now. And so are we. We're in 2 roles, but it turns out we're in 3, just like the tree. The tree is interlinked with all the trees around it. And we know this. There's a fungal system going on that moves water from one to another and nutrients as needed. In fact, the woman who did this research, I think I even have this up on my screen right now. Um, Suzanne Simard is the one who did this, and she published it, I believe, in 2016 in the magazine Nature. She's the one who did the research on how the trees are interconnected. The point is that everything in nature is in those same 3 roles. It's a self, it's a situation member where contact happens with the real world, with the moment, And it's part of something beyond itself. Call it a society, call it a group of trees, call it a family, call it a religion, call it a country, right? So we and everything show up in three roles. So that's part of how, we're designed to show up by nature a certain way. And when I say three roles, so on the continuum, the way it plays out on the show up continuum, the way it plays out is that when you're barely there, you're just in your self role. As you start to notice and tune in, you're in your situational role because you're noticing what's going on and you're tuning into it. Your curiosity shows up, your creativity shows up, your compassion shows up. You let go of anger. You find forgiveness. I mean, these are massive. Your authenticity shows up because your fear dissipates. Once you notice, tune in, and then you feel with and enact care. And you're moving from your self role into yourself and your situational role at once, and then into your role as part of something larger, your societal role. That's when you're reconnected, not just within yourself, which you are, your mind and your heart, and your instinctual body telling you what's going on, but you're also far more giving, far more caretaking, far more contributing. And if this, of course, honors what really matters, which is that we aren't just responsible for our impacts and what we model to the world, but we are actually the custodian of everyone and everything that's out there. I mean, that's why we're here. We're here to take care of each other and the world.
And that contrast is so powerful. Like, it explains why many of us feel exhausted chasing external measures of success.
Yes, I'm really glad you said that because external measures of success are lies, and they don't make us happy, they make us miserable, and they make us prisoners. Because the more you chase and spend, then you have more stress, and then you're on the treadmill and you can't get off. And you're pretending to be someone you're not. So Anya, one of the things I study is deathbed wishes. Yes, deathbed wishes. So it turns out that people on their deathbed for many, many years have been extremely consistent, right? They say, I wish I'd spent more time with my family. I wish I'd spent less time working. And I wish I told the people around me who I love that I love them. And now there are two new things showing up. One is people saying, I wish I had lived my life, done what felt right to me, right? My authentic self, not what society told me. So that's one big thing. The second big thing that's showing up is this regret, which, by the way, is the most common negative emotion, right? Not anger or frustration or impatience or greed or fear. It's actually regret. And what people say is that they regret not doing that thing. I always wanted to write a book and you never wrote a book, or I always wanted to see if I could kind of start a business coaching people in guitar or something. And I never did that thing. I played small. So yeah, it's a really big deal. Don't, you got to pause. In fact, one of the big recommendations that I make too. Take out a piece of paper and list the things that you're doing because society tells you to that aren't true for you. And you can just start out with, what is society telling me, right? You need to look a certain way and get a certain job and have a certain title, and right? And then say, which of these are really right for me as a human being? Yeah. And I'll tell you, and this is the last that I'll say about this, the cost is massive, because when you don't live the right life for you, you're impatient, you're unhappy, you're dissatisfied, you're grumpy, I mean, and that's what you put into the world. And then you can be angry. And then right? And it comes out in all sorts of ways. It comes out in what you eat and how much you drink and whether you have discipline, um, with yourself and with others, and how deeply you feel love, and whether you feel the joy, and whether you feel gratitude. I mean, shows up in how healthy you are or are not. I mean, this is massive. Showing up is absolutely massive. It's not a peripheral feature of our operating system, right? It's our defining characteristic. So we have to understand it, right? There's a reason the book is a bestseller, with Mel Robbins writing the quote on the cover.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, your book has been praised for creating a 3D model of thriving. How has this model helped businesses and individuals reconnect with meaning and innovation?
Yeah. So the 3D part of it, right? We're in three roles. There are three levels, right? It's almost like an X, Y, and a Z axis. When the business recognizes that they're not just you know, giving people a better laptop, let's say, like if that's the business you're in, or designing a better microchip, you're having there's a whole ecosystem created around this, right? People are going to behave differently, feel differently, do different things because your product or service is out there. So what I led very successfully led executives of global firms to see is that there's a whole value system and set of habits and patterns in people's behavior and their emotions that are being set up, that are being designed by the products and services that you sell. So that is how I've done it. And I've helped them to think through not just the impact on the self, the identity, but also the impact on the situation, the moment that people are in when they interact with it, and how it changes the person, and therefore how it creates what comes next, and how it flows 2, 3, 4, 5 levels deep into society, creating a whole system of values and beliefs and behaviors.
Mhm. It's inspiring to see that meaningful work and meaningful living aren't mutually exclusive.
Oh my word, you can't separate them. I mean, you can't cleave someone from their time. You become what you do,
Mhm.
which is why you have to do what's right for you.
Absolutely. So, Marcy, thank you for illuminating the path to showing up with a heart, purpose, and truth. To explore Marcy's transformative work, check out How We Choose to Show Up and connect with her at marcyalexrod.com. And listeners, remember, the way you show up changes everything. This is Sacred Harmony. So until next time, honor the sacred in how you show up every day.